called Stronger Together. And I am one of the leads on it, and we'll be starting having meetings twice a month in the area, virtually or, outside or whatever. But it's a 12-step program about how family members heal pre or during or post having the addict in your life, whatever the outcome was, and how you have to let go of those things. You grieve, you accept, you move on, you set those healthy boundaries, you have your self-care. So that's a new program that fans launched, but there's also other programs too. You go to a regular fan meeting once a month, or you go to Al-Anon, or, so there are resources out there. And I typically will give them to the family members, because those are the people that are typically reaching out to me, are the family members. Whether that patient is ready to go to treatment or not, it's still important. I wish I had it. I wish I knew about these programs, because when I was going through it, it was dark. It was scary. I thought I was alone. It was close my shutters, don't let anybody else into my world, and let them know what I'm going through, because on the outside, we're a white picket fence, beautiful family, and nobody knew what the story was going on inside my walls. And, a lot of us, that's how we feel. Like, we don't want people to know what's going on. But then that affects your mental health and how your outlook is on life. When my life fell apart and, it took me 6 months to unbury myself, it was nice. My mom finally said to me, "You're smiling. You're your old self. Like, you're not distant. You're your old self." And at that moment, I was just like, you're right. I'm not walking around on eggshells. I'm not hesitant to make a move because something's going to happen or I'm going to lose him, So it takes time. You have to do the right steps in order to get back to that situation. And I can only imagine how hard it is for parents that are going through something like this, because that's your baby, that's your child. I can't relate to that on that level of watching your child just, dissipate into substance of whatever choice it is. But, from a spouse standpoint, it's still really hard. You're the glue to that family, Don't let your children see, don't let the world see that your life is like this, So it's so, so important. And I encourage anybody that has a loved one that is an addict, no matter what level it is, to just make sure you take care of yourselves and know that your treatment doesn't stop at that moment.
Yeah, and they're definitely not the only people out there in the world going through that. I mean, it might feel like it. We both talked to a guy a couple weeks ago, and he asked me, what do I do? I don't know. And I gave him my mom's phone number. I was like, here, call her. And my mom was like, well, what are you, giving out my phone number now? And I was like, well, I knew you'd be able to, make him feel at ease with, look, you're not the only one, the stuff that I put my mom through, she should thank me for that, for giving her all those life skills. But and she did, and the guy texted me back later and he's like, thank you so much, and he said, you're lucky to have her, and, what a godsend. And, that really helped me a lot, and of course my mom wasn't saying this is what you need to do and you need to do this. She was just like, look, man, like, for me, this is what happened. And, Corey put me through hell, but I never gave up. And it's going to be hard, and she told him, I guess, one point, like, she kind of told him that the phases that she went through was, first just confusion, anger. Why is he doing this to me again? And then she realized it really wasn't about her, and it wasn't that she did anything wrong. It's addiction. And I was trying to mask my problems. And then she said she got to the point where she wasn't mad, at the end, if I had a relapse or when I had my relapses, she wouldn't be mad anymore. She would just pick herself back up and, okay, let's get you some help, son, and let's take you where you need to go. And, everyone's different too, that's the thing. And it's hard to, even say my experiences sometimes, because some people can relate to some of it, but they can't relate to the exact, oh, this is what happened, or this is what's going to fix you. But, going to a great treatment facility, going there with the right mindset of, hey, look, you don't have to hang your head, and that's easier said than done too, especially when you're just trying to detox and get over the whatever drug you were using, because you feel like crap. You feel like a piece of crap. You feel like you're not worth it, and those will go away. And you'll start to build, and you'll start to learn about yourself again. And then the feeling is amazing. And you're just like, I love life. I don't ever want to use drugs again. You get out of rehab, you start going to your IOPs or, your therapy sessions. And then you're like, I don't need that after a couple months. And you're like, look, I got 5 months sober. I don't need that. And then you start, well, I'm not going to IOP. I'm not going to see my therapist. And as they put it one time in I think it was Pine Rest I was at, they said, imagine like you're in the middle of this circle and you have all these fences around you, and all these fences are church, are AA meetings, are your medications that you're supposed to be taking, everything that you're supposed to be doing, going to IOP, and you start knocking those down, pretty soon you're just going to be standing there very vulnerable again. And
right.
That happened to me a couple times. And then I kind of realized, okay, well, and let me pull this back up and let me just do it their way this time. And it wasn't until then where I really kind of put it all together. And, we could talk about that kind of stuff forever. But Skywood Recovery, though, I can tell you is nice, and you're nice, and the people I met were wonderful. So, but what were you going to say?
And I think that everything happens for a reason, right? Like, life is just what it is, and you have experiences that happen to you. But it's your choice if you use those experiences to benefit you or to harm you. And I've chosen to use my experiences to benefit myself and to benefit others. So being able to reach out to people that is now in the spot that I once was, and letting them know that there's hope, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that's why I am here. That is why I do what I do, because I don't want people to go through what I went through for 6 months when I felt like I had nobody and nobody understood what I was going through, and there wasn't any groups out there for me. And here I am left all by myself with 2 small children, just trying to get through every single day of my life. And so the reason that I got this, I was so happy when I landed this job almost a year ago now, because it's giving me that purpose of, okay, I had a life experience that completely flipped my world upside down, and now let me use it to my benefit, or let me use it to others' benefits. Let me tell my story. Let me get my story out there so people understand that they're not alone. Don't do what I do and hide in your house and just pretend like it never happened, because that's not going to help. And, just being able to, like, of course it took me years to be able to talk about my story, because I was shameful of it, and I didn't want people to know what my life was like or what I'd gone through. But now I realize that it's okay. Like, that part of my life made me who I am today and has given me the experience to be able to help other people. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I do what I do, because I wish I had me 5 years ago.
And I'm sure you've helped people along the way, and maybe people that have listened to this podcast, I know, like my family and stuff, when they heard you tell your story when you were on previous, were like, wow, like that woman's been through a lot. And maybe pieces of it they could relate to. I know obviously the whole situation they couldn't, but as far
right.
as how you acted after it and how you picked yourself up eventually, and like you said, everything happens for a reason. You had to go through that period, and we're not saying, and I don't think you're saying, I don't mean to speak for you, but you're not saying, hey, go run out in the street and tell your business to everybody. You're not saying that, but
no.
You don't need to lock yourself in the house and not go out in the street or not go outside because, oh no, they're going to think about this and that. And what are they thinking about me? And you can't live that way.
The main message is that you might feel like you're alone. You might feel like you're the only one that's going through something like this, and you might feel shameful. But at the end of the day, we all don't walk around with scarlet letters on us saying, hey, I was married to an addict and this is what happened. Hey, my child is addicted to heroin. Like, we don't wear those on ourselves. We don't allow people to see that. That's something that we choose to tell or not tell. And I just want people to know that you might be going through that, but just know that you're not alone. You're not the only one that has a child that's addicted to a substance. You're not the only one that has a child that might be in jail or prison because of the choices that they made because of substances. You're not the only one that has lost somebody to drugs and alcohol. There's other people out there that are experiencing not the same pain, but an alike pain.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
You know, that's what it comes down to.
That's good insight, and it's good. Just good. I don't know what I was trying to say there, but well, Courtney, I do have to go, but I thank you for coming on to the podcast today. It was our National Guest Week. That's what we're calling it. But I'm the only one who has had a guest on. You gotta lead by example, right? I don't know. And we're gonna have Rob on, and I'm gonna tell Rob that you said we could come there and have a rehab vacation.
Oh, great. Mm-hmm. Guy was gonna be like, what are you doing?
Oh, and then we'll get Chris involved too. Can you imagine Chris and I? And I'll bring some heavy hitters for my Grand Rapids days. What'd you say?
I said maybe you guys can just go down there and work for a while.
Yeah, like just be like, well, Chris could be a landscaper, and
sure.
I'll make
beds. I don't
beds.
know if he would really. He doesn't come across as the heat type of person to me.
See, and I didn't think so either. But Chris is doing some landscaping, and yeah, you know, he's loving it. You know, he loves, I guess, outside. But yeah, the whole heat thing, I don't see Chris liking the heat, but apparently he does. I don't know.
Well, more power to him.
Hey, whatever makes him happy, whatever keeps a couple dollars in his pocket and keeps him sober, I'm down for it. But yeah, I'll text Chris and tell him that you offered us jobs, and then I'll talk to Rob on Saturday because he's going to be on the podcast, and I'll tell him that you invited us to come stay. And that should go pretty well.
Okay.
All right. Call your boss and tell him not to fire you now.
All right. Good.
All right, Courtney. It was good talking to you.
It was good talking to you guys, too.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
So I don't think I have a mouse in my pocket. She said you guys. But she meant like the whole team, 217 Recovery. Courtney is a friend of ours. And Skywood Recovery, it really is a great place. SkywoodRecovery.com is their website, but check it out if you got insurance. And, you know, don't let the things like jobs get in your way. If a loved one, a friend, whatever is going through some stuff and you're thinking, hey, man, how about we start here? You know, before you lose the house, before you lose the car, before you lose your family, you know, get some help. You know, the FMLA, it's there for a reason. You know, your job will be there. The other things you can figure out. I talked to a guy a few weeks ago, and he was telling me about this horrible situation he was in and where he's living, and I was like, well, once you go to treatment, and then when you get out of treatment, you know, go to sober living. He said, well, I'll go to treatment, but you know, the whole sober living thing, I have a dog. I'm not going anywhere without my dog. Okay. Be careful of that kind of thinking or that kind of talk. I get it that you love your animal. I love my cat. You know, if you're familiar with the podcast, you've heard me talk about Nico several times. But I had to leave her with my parents, and it was a situation that made me sad. But it drove me to stay on the right path because I know I needed to get her back. And you know, there are people that will take care of your animal, but don't let an animal or your love for an animal deter you from loving yourself and getting yourself on the right path and getting you to a place where you deserve to be. It's just a little advice. And sometimes you have to do without in order to make yourself better, and you will get that animal back for sure. But All right, thanks for listening. Saturday.